Hi everyone, Olivia Issa here from Issa Fit, and today I'm gonna work on upcycling this old pair of jeans that I've had for about 5 years now, and I haven't worn them in about a year now. So I'm thinking I'd like to make them into something new that I'll wear, but with minimal waste. So sometimes I feel like upcycles can be kind of wasteful. You just throw away the parts that you aren't using. I'm really gonna try and keep my waste low on this. So this is a two-part series. Check out next week's. I'll figure out what to do with the parts I don't use today for my upcycle, but I have my pair of jeans here. They still fit me. And what I'd like to do with them is make this halter top that I saw, I think it was Kendall Jenner wearing. Hopefully I can put a picture up here, but it's just this simple halter top. It's kind of cropped. I didn't see a picture of the back, but what I'd like to do with the back is have it be sort of lace up because I don't have a zipper or buttons or anything at home right now, and I don't want to go out and buy anything. So I'm just going to try and make some straps out of the jeans I have and lace them up. So I've never done this before. I usually try out projects before I film a tutorial of them. Never done it before, so this is a process we'll go through together. To do this, I have a pair of jeans, some straight pins, scissors, my threaded sewing machine with matching thread and bobbin, and I have a ribbon and a ruler to use to measure myself. If you have a measuring tape, go ahead and grab that. I do not, so I'm going to be using this ribbon ruler combo. To get started on this, I've sketched out what I want this to look like. So you can see here, I have the halter top with some pleats, some straps, and the back that has sort of a lace-up close. And I'm going to measure myself and write down my measurements on my drawing so that I can remember. So I'm going to take my ribbon and start by measuring how long on my chest I want the halter to be. And then I'll measure that against my ruler. So 6 inches, so I'm going to write along the top on my sketch, 6 inches. And then I'm going to try and remember where I placed the end of that top and measure down to where that I want that side angle to be. And then the side seam to my waist. And then the middle of the halter top to my waist as well. Make sure you're sitting up straight, but not like over straight for this, that you get an accurate measurement. Now for my back, I'm not gonna sort of do acrobatics to try and get to my back, but I'm just gonna think about how long I want each side panel on the back to be. If this was the back of my body, I'd sort of want it to come all the way to the middle. So I'm gonna check this measurement. And then I'm going to keep that the same as my armpit to waist, lengthwise. Great. Now let's get started cutting. Now it's time to figure out how to get all of this fabric from my jeans. The widest part on my jeans I know is going to be the thigh. So I need 6 up here, and down here I forgot to measure, but I know my waist is 25 inches, so half of 25 is for 12.5 inches, so this is going to have to be 12.5 inches. I doubt we're going to get that from this, so we're going to actually cut this bodice top in half and have this half be 6.25 inches and same on this side. And then we're going to have to do the same to the top. Cut this in half, 3 inches by 3 inches. So there we go. We have half. We're going to cut half of the bodice out of each leg. So make sure this is laying super flat, and we're going to measure out again 6.25 inches. And then here is 13 inches. And then 3 inches across. We can do that. And I'll start marking this with a marker so that I can remember it. And then we're going to look back at this side is 7 inches. I'm sort of just going to guesstimate the angle and try and remember how I liked it on my body. Let's try here and mark it. And we'll see if this makes sense with the other measurement we did. This is 7 inches, and then we want this side to also be 7 inches. Perfect. So this is going to be our front side of the shirt, and I am going to cut through both layers of fabric so that we end up with 2 identical sides of this. So then I can open this up. You can see this will be my bodice. So again, I want this to be 7 inches so that it matches up here, and then 5 inches along the bottom. I'm going to leave these. These can actually be used for shorts. So I'm going to move these to the side. So we have our halter top, and then these are either side on the back. So next we're going to want these little loops. So I'm going to pull out the leg that I still have. I'm going to measure out about 2 inches by 1 inch. So now it's time to make the straps. And to do this, I'm going to calculate sort of roughly 13, this length, 13 times 3. So let's see how long this is. This is about 10. If I can get 4 of these, that would be perfect. So we're going to face these towards each other, pin them down, and then move to the next. So we have one long strip. Also a straight stitch along the ends that I just pinned together. To make the straps, I'm going to fold the raw edges into the middle to meet, and then fold the strap in half longwise again so that the raw edges are completely hidden, and pin this down. Now we'll sew a straight seam on the folded edge of the strap the entire way down to secure it closed. Now for the loops at the back of the top, we're going to take our small strips and fold the raw edges to meet in the middle, and then fold it again to hide them, and pin that down so we can sew it later. We'll repeat that for each of the 6 loops. Like we did for the straps, we're going to sew a straight seam down the side where our fabric is folded to secure it in place. To connect the 2 pieces of the front of the bodice, we're going to lay one side on top of the other and pin and sew down the straight line connecting them. I have here the front of my top, and to decide where I'm going to want to put my darts, I'm going to line it up where I want it to sit on my chest. And when I place the bottom part flat, I'll see what little part poofs out here. And that's going to show me how much I want to dart. So you can just collect that fabric, pinch it down, flatten it to the rest of the shirt, and then pin that down. So now you can see I have my dart. This is how it looks on the back. And I'm going to do it again on the other side. So then I'm going to want to make sure that they're even. So I'll line them up. And if they're a little bit off, like this is a little bit off, I'll try and readjust, keeping the size of that dart the same. So now again, I put it over my chest, and it sits much flatter now. So I'll sew that down. Now I'll readjust the pin so that I'm only going to be sewing on the inside of the top. So I'll pinch the dart and keep it pinched at the same space, and then pin it so that it's only pinned on the inside and not the outside. I'll do the same for the other dart and then sew that down so it's sort of a triangle of fabric that I'm sewing. I have a little triangle of excess fabric now since I sewed my dart, so I'm going to cut that off from below the seam so that when I put my shirt on, it lays flat and doesn't show any wrinkles or extra fabric. Now it's time to attach the back panels of my shirt. So starting where I cut that angle on the side of my front panels right around the dart to the end of the front panel, I'm going to pin down the straight edge of the back panel to the straight edge of each side of the top. You can see I have more fabric on the back panel than the front panel, and this is because I did not account for the dart when I was cutting my back panel and front panels. Using a straight seam, I'll sew down where I just pinned. To make the front and back panels even in length, I'll trim off the excess fabric from the back panels. Now it's time to fold down the raw edges, and to secure them in place, we'll fold once and then iron that fold out. And then fold a second time so the raw edges are completely hidden. And we're doing this all on the wrong side of the fabric so that these seams will be hidden on the final product. Since this is the back panel of the shirt, I'll attach the fabric loops that are going to hold our crisscross straps in the back. So as I'm pinning down this sort of rolled hem, I'm going to also pin down the loops of fabric, spaced out fairly evenly down the back panel. I'll continue folding the raw edges down twice all the way around the shirt, pinning them down as I go so that I can sew them up later. As I go, just as a finishing touch, I like to iron open the seams so that they sit flat and smooth. When placing the loops on the second back panel, it's helpful to me to cross the first back panel over and compare them so that I know that they'll sit evenly. I've cut the ends of the straps diagonally so that they won't fray, and then I'll pin them down in the corners of the top edge of my shirt. Using a straight stitch, I'll sew down all the places I just pinned, being sure to go slowly and carefully over the loops. Now it's time to make the ruffle to go along the whole bottom of the top. And to do this, I'm going to cut strips that are 2 inches wide from the remainder of the jeans. And I'm cutting 3 strips so that I can cut those again to make 6 separate strips. I'm going to cut out the seams and any irregularities in the strips so that we end up with 6 uniform, clean strips of fabric. Now I've lined all the strips up against the base of the shirt, and I'm going to pin them all together end to end with the right sides of the fabric facing each other so that when I sew it down, I'll end up with one long strip of fabric. Using a straight stitch, I'll sew up where I just pinned. Now it's time to hem the strip, so I'll fold the bottom edge over once, iron it down, and pin it to hold it in place, and then use a straight stitch to sew that down. And then on either end of the long strip, I'll fold the fabric in once, iron it down, and pin it as well. Using a straight stitch, I'll sew where I just pinned down, and then separately I'll sew a straight line across the top that I did not fold over. To ruffle the fabric, I'm going to take hold of the top thread, so the thread I know came from the needle and not the bobbin, and I'm going to pull the fabric against it to start to ruffle it. You'll notice if you pull from the bobbin thread, it'll be really sticky, but it should be pretty smooth if you pull from the top thread. And I'm going to keep ruffling until the length of that strip matches the length of the bottom of our top. So you can compare it and keep ruffling and keep pushing the ruffles down until it matches the length of the shirt. Once you're happy with the length of the ruffle, you can knot off the ends of the thread and start to pin the ruffle to the shirt. Here I decided I had more ruffle fabric than I needed, so I cut off the excess, folded over the part I cut so that it'll be clean, and I'll sew that part down separately from when I sew the ruffle to the shirt. I'm ironing down the ruffle so it sits flat, and then I'm done. To lace up the top, you'll turn it inside out, fold the back flaps over to the center, and then lace the straps through, crossing them at the top and then crossing them with every loop.